I run a vlog now.
What?
I run a vlog now.
Is this going up on YouTube?
Yep. I have to have everyone see my Viking brethren. We are currently celebrating my birthday, jamming out, drinking mead, and later I will show you guys how to make this stuff. How's it taste, Dave?
Dude, this shit is damn good.
Alright, good. Myself this way. Life laws, we live it our way. Hold these words I'll just say, and nothing else matters. Hey everybody, this is Jake with Roleplay with Reason. Today I'm gonna show you guys how to make honey mead, as I promised. So, what we're gonna be doing today is we're going to be making like a sugared down honey mead. Now, why I do this is because I provide mead for my entire LARP group, and in addition to being very delicious and authentic, it is really easy to create. Today we will be making 10 gallons. So each of these plastic containers is 5 gallons here. So we're going to go over a list of equipment and things you need to go ahead and get started. Obviously, you don't have to make it on such a grand scale, but I'm going to be providing the approximate values for 10 gallons, so adjust accordingly. Now, one of the first things that I really want to get into when creating mead that seems to deter a lot of people or confuse a lot of people at first is that it is not a scientific process. There's not a lot of exact measurements and things that really go into it. So using that knowledge, it's a great platform to kind of encourage creativity and being able to kind of explore and mess with your ingredients to kind of make your own, batch or your own recipe for your own liking. So I think that's what it personally comes down to, is what your personal flavor is and what your personal tastes like. So again, you're going to probably want to tweak my recipe probably just a little bit. So from there, let's get right into this. So one of the first things you are gonna probably have to eventually end up doing is educating yourself. So I have this book right here, Make Mead Like a Viking, and it is by Jareem Zimmerman. Great book, very interesting, goes over some of the interesting points in history and mythology and why mead even came to be. But it's a good read. Reads through more almost like a storybook than an actual manual, so it's great. So the first thing you're going to need is yeast. I have regular active dry bread yeast right here. You can really use whatever yeast you want, in addition to wild fermenting your own if you so choose. Actually over here I keep my own yeast and I actually reuse it from a wild fermentation, which this book will happily tell you all about. Next thing up is you're going to need some raisins. Better organic than not. Next thing you're going to need is you're going to need 2 airlocks if you're making 10 gallons, or an airlock for each vessel that you choose to put your meat into. These are plastic water jugs that I got from Walmart, I do believe. They're like $7 or $8. I found them in the camping section. Really easy to use. I like them just because I make a lot of mead and a lot of alcohol in bulk at one time, so it saves me a lot of time. Next, per 10 gallons, you're going to need 2 bags of lemons. Again, anything that you can get from a local farm or farmer's market will be much more preferable to anything you could buy in the store. So next thing up, per our 10 gallons, we're going to need 10 pounds of honey. So I have 2 5-pound bottles right here. A lot of my other meads actually call for raw, unpasteurized from local beekeepers, and a lot more. Usually you want to use about a 2 2 to 3 pounds per honey per gallon, but for this sake we're going to substitute the extra honey that we don't have with cane sugar or normal granulated white sugar. So again, you are going to need, in addition to your 10 pounds of honey, you are going to need 16 pounds of sugar. So the next step in the mead making process is we are going to want to sterilize the equipment we are using. Now, that is the correct answer and what I'm supposed to tell all of you out there so you do not get sick. However, I've noticed that there is a difference between sterilization and clean. I prefer to keep my products clean yet not sterile. And what that means is, obviously don't have any visible container gunk in there, no dust, no dirt, anything like that. But it makes a difference for me. A lot of these times when you get using these plastic bottles and glass bottles and various items that you basically exclusively use for making alcohol, they start to kind of absorb the flavor and the essence of previous batches. And there's something kind of powerful about that being said. The whole reusing and recycling over and over again, especially when you can harvest the yeast from batches and reuse it. So we're going to go ahead and just in case you guys do want to sterilize, the best way to do it is adding a little bit of bleach to hot water. Let your plastic and anything that you're going to use or come in contact with the mead sterilize for like 15 minutes to half an hour, and then with that it's going to take care of anything. Just make sure that they're visibly clean, there's nothing kind of hanging out and things of the sort. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, here for the sake of being thorough, I'm just showing you guys my process of sterilization. My kitchen is a little messy right now, so sorry. We had a party last night for my birthday. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to fill up your sink, make sure it's clean, and any utensils that you're going to use that come in contact with the mead, again, if you want to sterilize, you're going to want to at least soak and kind of jiggle around a little bit. Make sure that they're nice and sterilized. Now, it is important to note that when you use bleach, you absolutely need to continue to rinse everything until you're absolutely sure that there is no bleach residue or any bleach left on the things that you are using. That can kill the yeast and sour your batch. So in my opinion, I think that this step is altogether better skipped as long as your equipment is clean and you know it is. Now, a quick and important note on water. Now, water is arguably one of the most important parts of your mead, besides the honey, obviously. Now, what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to either get yourself some distilled water and add some minerals. Now, that's okay and everything, but it's kind of a pain in the ass to do. So what I like to do is I go down to my local state park and I haul these jugs down, and I will gather fresh spring water. Now, I was actually going to have a video of the process doing this, but unfortunately in our area the parks are closed due to deer hunting. So I was unable to come down and get spring water, but if you have to use tap water, that's okay. I would just recommend either boiling it or letting it sit out and making sure that there is no chlorine content, because chlorine content will also kind of have the same effect as bleach does. You're not going to get a very good ferment. It could kill a lot of your good yeast and nutrients you have brewing inside, and you're just going to want to avoid that altogether. So what I do is I actually have a sink filter. It automatically filters out a lot of the contaminants. So for that case, I'm really lucky because I can just put my water straight into the bottle. So if you get spring water, a lot of people will argue that you need to boil it. Now, this is kind of where I'm going to kind of get hippie on all of you, is that, I believe basically that if the water is clean enough to drink right there, that you should be okay with using it straight out of the stream. Just remember not to brew anything that you wouldn't actively slam a whole glass of yourself. Alright, so on to the next step. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get our plastic carboys. We're going to want to add just a little bit of warm water. That's going to help the honey dissolve, which we have sitting right here in the sink. So go ahead and you're going to want to put a little bit of warm water in. Not super hot water for people who have scalding hot water. You're going to want just enough to kind of get the honey in there moving around a little bit. So we are also going to take a container. You're going to get the water nice and warm. Again, you don't want it scalding or anywhere near scalding. You just basically want it pretty good and warm. And then you're going to take a cup. In my case, 2, since I'm making 2 batches. You're going to want to make sure they both got warm water in there. Now, it's important that when you're using a plastic container like this, you put enough warm water in it to kind of retain the heat, because the heat's going to be important. So go ahead and we are going to bring that over here. And in each of these cups, again, 1 for each of the 5 gallons, we are going to add 4 tablespoons of yeast. Or if you want to add your own harvested yeast, go ahead and just add a little bit of yeast from there. I would say half a cup of yeast from that. Or if you want to make it nice and strong, add the whole jar. So go ahead and add the yeast, and then you're going to add a teaspoon and a half of sugar, and then you're going to give that a good Swiss swirl, and you're going to let that sit for about 15 minutes. I've noticed that it does a little bit better if you take a paper towel and lay it over the top. So when that yeast is done, we're going to go ahead and get into pouring the ingredients. Alright, we are going to go ahead and get into our next step, which is we want to take a handful of honey, or a handful of raisins, excuse me, and you're going to get your funnel, and you're going to add just a handful. Now I know that's not an exact measurement, and it's not really supposed to be. Again, everything's kind of up to you, but you're going to go ahead and add those handful of raisins directly to your plastic carboys with the water. So you just want to, pardon my hand everybody, I am filming this by myself. For 2 reasons. Nobody's around, everybody's at work on my day off today, and to just kind of illustrate how easy and simple this process can actually be. So we're going to go over to our honey that we've been letting sit in the water for a little while. I'm going to take that out, make sure that it's a nice consistency, and then you're going to simply pour that stuff right in there. And this is why you want to use warm water. Now, it can't be super hot, like I said. If it's super hot, it will actually denature the honey, and we do not want to do that. But just kind of let it do its thing and pour it in there. It'll eventually start coming out pretty good. Now, I like to use this big automotive funnel for this because it sits really nicely on the plastic carboys, and I don't really have to hold it that much with my hands, which is great for something like this where I'm trying to film and do a tutorial at the same time. So go ahead and get that nice and filled up. That'll take a moment to drain out. The weight should push it right down. That honey looks just beautiful, as you guys can see. Then after that step is complete, we are going to go ahead and fill the empty bottle up with a little bit more warm water, and we are going to shake it around. Now what we're going to do, why we're going to do that, is we want to get pretty much every last bit of honey, considering it is just liquefied sugar. And all you need for sugar, or any alcohol, is for sugar to ferment. And that's what we're trying to accomplish there. So again, you might have to do this a couple times. Pardon my bad camera angles, everybody. Again, I'm filming this by myself. Not all future videos should be like this. So you're going to go ahead and just pour that right in. So what I'm going to do is that this stuff is raising really well, which means it's activating really well. I'm going to go ahead and take one of these right here. I'm going to go ahead and pour that right into there. And then you're going to want to get as much of this out as possible as well. So come over here. Get a little bit more warm water. I want to make sure that it's nice and swirled around in there. So after you have added your raisins, honey, water, and your yeast, you're going to want to go ahead and come over to your lemon water. Of course, after you picked up any messes you might have made along the way. Excuse me. As you can see, we have a little bit over 3 cups here, so we're going to add 1.5 cups to each of the batches. Alright, so here we are just finishing up adding our sugar, and as you can see, we got 8 pounds of sugar. That is roughly, depending on what kind of sugar you use, that's going to be roughly about 18 cups. So, and you, just like the honey, you're going to want to get every last little bit of the sugar. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some more warm water, and you're just going to kind of rinse everything that the sugar might have stuck to. Just to recap, so far, we've had a little bit of warm water. Now we're just pretty much adding warm water when we need it. At this point, you should have the raisins, the honey, and the sugar in it, which is basically everything that you need, including the yeast. So we already put the yeast in there. So what we're going to do this now is we're going to cap this off, and then we're going to pick up the whole thing. It will be kind of heavy, and we're going to shake it very violently. So we're going to try to mix up everything that's in there. Again here, guys, I just kind of want to show you a before and after. See how that clearly has sugar and honey sitting on the bottom. That is viciously mixed. Sorry I'm panting. This is pretty hard work considering how heavy water can get, especially with honey. A little tip or a trick for everybody missing their caps, which I lose them constantly. Take a plastic bag, rubber band it tightly, and then hold the end with your hand. Then you can shake that really hard. That will properly mix up everything you need to. So again, after we're done mixing, we're just going to top off with warm water, and then we will apply the airlock. Alright guys, here we are pretty much an hour after we started. I did do both these 10 gallons by myself and film it, and it only took me an hour. So some closing notes. This will be the part 1 of the part 2 video, because there will be a whole other slew of information, sorry about my hand, is regarding bottling it, racking it, straining it, things of the sort. So after a little while, you're going to probably about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes, this should start bubbling. I'll go ahead and put up a video of that when that starts. 40 minutes later, got a little bit of bubbling. Now, I did want to let you guys know to not freak out. If your meat is not bubbling, it took mine almost 40 minutes to bubble. Let's see if we can get one bubbling. And still, it's bubbling slowly. Now, this is going to depend greatly on the temperature where you keep it. Now, if you can avoid doing it, don't touch it. Leave it somewhere besides shaking it. Leave it, let it sit, and don't touch it. Your temperature ranges you're going to want are between 60 and 80 degrees. Now, as you guys can see over here, I like to keep my house 60 degrees in the wintertime. That's just personal preference. Now, that means that this stuff will probably take a little bit longer than normal to bubble and bubble slowly. However, it doesn't change the results and should be perfectly good to drink. Alright, back to the past. So when you guys get these carboys, you're going to see that they have two little lines on them. So what that's going to indicate is where your water should be when you fill them. You don't want to overfill it and you don't want to underfill it, because if you underfill it, it can evaporate off. You are going to want to check these occasionally and add water to them. Just make sure that if you live in a really dry place, that it's not evaporating all the water off your water lock, or else it will sour your mead. So you're going to want, when you fill the rest up with semi-warm water, again, not too hot, you're going to want to fill it not all the way to the crown, but pretty damn close. What you're going to want to do is you're going to leave some room for like bubbling and expansion, because if you don't, all that crap is going to work its way up through here and come running down the sides, and you end up with sticky bottles like that. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but you're going to want to write the name, the date. I keep track of batch numbers just for my own kind of personal whatever, but you guys are definitely going to want to keep track of the date, because you don't want to guess with stuff like this and bottle it too soon and have bottles exploding everywhere on you. So with that being said, we're going to let this sit for a month. For the first week, you're going to want to pick it up and shake it probably at least 2 or 3 times, and then after that you can let it sit and leave it alone. You don't have to shake it if you don't want to, but I would advise it, simply for the fact that the longer it sits, the more it's going to settle, which you want that eventually, but during the first week you're going to want all those bits of sugar and everything to get eaten up real quick and real nice. So if you guys have any questions or want to know anything more, go ahead and put it in the comments. Again, sorry for being such a bad cameraman today. I was working by myself, but hopefully you guys will stick with me for part 2 coming in a month. So I'll see you guys next in a month. If you guys start your own, make sure to put up pictures. Again, comments in the section. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so I can keep on bringing you guys content and know that you guys are watching it. Alright, thanks. This is Jake with Roleplay with Reason.